Donald Trump's $5 billion lawsuit that shook the world. What happens when a brash billionaire with a penchant for gold-plated skyscrapers and reality TV clashes with a journalist whose pen is mightier than the sword? How does a single chapter in a book ignite a $5 billion legal battle? And why does this story end not with a bang but a mediated whisper? This isn't just a courtroom drama. It's a tale of ambition, ego, and the pursuit of truth. Welcome to the saga of Donald Trump versus Tim O'Brien, where reputations were at stake, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. Hold on to your hats. This one's a doozy. It all began in Queens, New York, on June 14, 1946, when Donald John Trump entered the world. Born to Fred Trump, a shrewd real estate developer, and Mary Ann McLeod, a Scottish immigrant, young Donald grew up in a home filled with ambition. Fred wasn't your average dad handing out allowance money. He was a builder of middle-class homes in Brooklyn and Queens, a man who turned post-Depression America into a gold mine of brick and mortar. Fred Trump wasn't just a businessman. He was a powerhouse who demanded excellence. He drilled into Donald the mantra that life was about winning and losing was not an option. This would shape Donald's worldview, for better or worse. But not all was rosy in the Trump household. Donald's older brother, Fred Jr., succumbed to alcoholism, a tragedy that left scars on the family and steeled Donald's resolve to avoid the same fate. Fred Jr.'s struggles became a cautionary tale that Donald carried with him, a reminder to stay in control, to dominate. From his days at the New York Military Academy, where he honed his love for leadership and perhaps an early taste for drama, to his stint at the Wharton School of Finance, Donald was a man on a mission. Armed with his father's business acumen, he joined the family business in the early 1970s. But Queens and Brooklyn weren't enough for Donald. His sights were set on Manhattan, the city's golden playground for the elite. By the 1980s, Donald Trump was everywhere. He turned the Grand Hyatt into a jewel of Midtown Manhattan and crowned himself with Trump Tower, a glistening skyscraper on Fifth Avenue. His audacity knew no bounds: casinos, hotels, golf courses, and even a brief flirtation with an airline. Whether it was the glitz of the art of the deal or the excesses of the 1990s, Trump became the ultimate symbol of American ambition and controversy. Meanwhile, in Illinois, Tim O'Brien was carving a very different path. Born to a middle-class family, Tim had a curiosity that couldn't be contained. Where Donald saw skyscrapers, Tim saw stories. O'Brien pursued his education with the same tenacity that Trump pursued deals. With degrees from Georgetown University and Columbia University, he honed his skills as a journalist. His early days as a writer were marked by a dogged pursuit of truth, earning him a reputation as a man who wasn't afraid to dig deep and ask tough questions. By the time he joined the New York Times, O'Brien had already built a career uncovering the stories others would rather keep hidden. He was methodical, incisive, and unflinching, qualities that made him the perfect foil for Trump's flamboyance. It was 2005, and Donald Trump was riding high, literally in his golden helicopter and figuratively on the crest of his public persona. The man who had branded himself as a billionaire genius with a Midas touch was untouchable, or so he thought. Enter Tim O'Brien, an investigative journalist with a sharp pen, a sharper wit, and a burning curiosity about the man behind the brand. When O'Brien published TrumpNation, The Art of Being the Donald, it wasn't just a book. It was a grenade lobbed into Trump's meticulously curated world. Amid the stories of lavish deals and self-promotion was a claim that hit Trump like a sucker punch. The billionaire's actual net worth was a mere fraction of what he often declared. O'Brien suggested a valuation of somewhere between $150 million and $250 million, a far cry from the billions Trump claimed with all the confidence of a game show host unveiling a new car. To Trump, this wasn't just a number, it was an existential attack. His fortune wasn't merely about money, it was the oxygen feeding the fire of his brand. He didn't just have wealth, he was wealth personified. For O'Brien, however, it was about cutting through the bravado and holding a powerful public figure accountable. The journalist was unyielding. His sources were credible, his analysis thorough. But as anyone who's ever poked a bear with a stick knows, things were about to get messy. What does Donald Trump do when someone questions his wealth? He sues bigly. By 2006, Trump had launched a $5 billion defamation lawsuit against O'Brien and his publisher. That's right, $5 billion. Because why settle for millions when you can demand billions? Trump's legal team argued that O'Brien's claims had inflicted incalculable damage on his reputation, his business ventures, and, let's be honest, his ego. The case quickly turned into a circus, with Trump's side painting O'Brien as a sensationalist author out for clicks, or whatever the pre-Instagram equivalent was, and O'Brien's team countering with a fascinating defense. That Trump's own financial disclosures were as consistent as a weather forecast. Depositions became must-read material for anyone who enjoyed the spectacle of a billionaire squirming under oath. Trump admitted that his net worth could go up and down with markets, or, more intriguingly, based on his feelings. Yes, feelings. One day he felt like a multi-billionaire. Another day, maybe just a regular billionaire. Call it mood ring accounting. With mounting legal fees and the growing realization that airing more dirty laundry wasn't in anyone's best interest, the parties turned to arbitration. Arbitration, the Switzerland of legal disputes, offered a quieter, faster way to hash out their differences. The arbitrator, a calm voice in a cacophony of egos, examined the evidence. Trump's claims of reputational harm, O'Brien's steadfast defense of his sources, and a paper trail as tangled as Trump's signature hairstyle. While Trump's lawyers argued that the book had tarnished an otherwise sterling reputation, O'Brien's team maintained that the mogul's fluctuating net worth was, well, just Trump being Trump. The closed-door proceedings didn't declare a clear winner, but they did save both sides the agony of a prolonged public showdown. In the end, the arbitrator's ruling allowed everyone to move on, though not before both sides claimed moral victories. For Trump, the lawsuit unintentionally turned TrumpNation into a bestseller, ensuring even more people read the claims he was trying to refute. Talk about the Streisand effect. For O'Brien, while his reporting held up under scrutiny, pinning Trump's net worth to specific figures was a tactical misstep that gave Trump's team a legal foothold. The case reinforced some timeless truths. Reputation is currency. For Trump, protecting his brand wasn't just about pride. It was his entire business model. The Fourth Estate has teeth. For O'Brien, the saga was a masterclass in the journalist's role as a watchdog, even when faced with billion-dollar lawsuits. Arbitration rocks. The process saved time, spared blushes, and kept the ugliest details out of the tabloids. Ultimately, Trump lost the case when the court found no malicious intent on O'Brien's part. But as is often the case with Trump, the loss didn't stick. He reframed the narrative, casting himself as the resilient underdog battling fake news, a precursor to the image he'd perfect during his presidential campaign. O'Brien, meanwhile, emerged with his credibility unscathed and his book cemented as a go-to text on the enigmatic Donald Trump. This wasn't just a legal battle, it was a clash of worlds. Truth versus perception, accountability versus bravado, journalism versus spin. What can we learn? That in the end, the truth may not always set you free, but it sure makes for one heck of a story. If you enjoyed this tale of billionaires, books, and bruised egos, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know. Would you have had the guts to stand up to Trump, or the audacity to challenge O'Brien?